Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the SuperClashBros. I'm your host, Trey, joined today, as always, by my co-hosts, Connor and David. Say hello, guys.
Howdy.
All right, so today we will be discussing the Pet Semetary remake. For those of you that don't know, Pet Semetary is, of course, a novel written by Stephen King, and it was adapted into film in the 80s. And of course, we all know how Hollywood feels about remaking old movies. So here we are 30 years later.
They love it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with the thumbs up, but after 30 years, like, okay, time to do it again.
Right. All right. So a little synopsis on the film. Pet Semetary focuses on a family who have suffered a tragic loss and go about reanimating their loved one by burying them in an ancient Indian burial ground that, through some nefarious and dark means, brings back to life the beings that are buried there. However, when they come back, they're not the same as they were before. Instead, they are a dark, twisted being that merely resembles the person they once were.
So after you get done grocery shopping.
Yeah. So, what were your initial thoughts on the movie? I know for me, like the original Pet Semetary was just like a really cheesy old, like, gory horror film, but like it didn't really have that much substance when it came to like story. I feel like this one puts in a lot more effort, so I'm glad they fucking did a remake for it. But what did you guys think?
Connor, you want to
Go
go
ahead,
first?
David. Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So my overall impression of this film was kind of mixed, to be honest. There were certain parts of it that left me with more questions than anything, but I liked a lot of the kind of tense moments. And then some of it kind of felt a little heavy-handed with their symbolism, like it was kind of a little too in your face. I can go into more details if you want, or if you want to just a brief synopsis of my thoughts there.
I would say go into brief detail if you want.
Okay.
Brief detail.
I don't know how to answer that.
Shut up. Yes, go into detail as to what you're talking about.
So, as far as the heavy-handedness, we're going into spoilers here. The little girl and her cat in the film are hit by a big semi truck. They live on a busy street, and the semi plowed into them.
Is the only car
at separate times, but yeah. So they showed a clip of the semi coming by once, and it was like, okay, yeah, that was a little bit of a call forward to what's going to happen here, right? And then they showed it again, and it's like, okay, we get it. There's a semi that's gonna hit the kid for sure.
Plus, it was in the trailer. That semi.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And
plus, like, that's just what the story is. Like,
yeah.
If you read the book, like, you know.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just like it thought the audience was stupid and like wasn't gonna put those pieces together. And it's like, no, we get it. We get what's gonna happen. That was part of what kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit about it, but that's a very minor detail. I kind of had some questions as to like why the old man thought it would be a good idea to try to bring back her cat after his experience where he brought back his dog and it wasn't his dog. He kind of sort of explains it away like, well, the dog was kind of ill-tempered to begin with, but
Lassie already had an attitude. That just kind of.
Well, wait, didn't he bring back his wife too?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he brought back his wife too.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
I thought so.
I think that he. Yeah, because.
Or was it just implied that he did?
No, I think he actually mentioned it because whenever the daughter came back after him later again.
Yeah, like stabbed him in the fucking, like, cut his like ankle open. Like
it was his wife portrayed first, and then the face switched over to the little girl. So I'm pretty sure.
I thought that was just symbolism. I didn't think it.
I don't know.
It's been too long. Let's just say that.
not
Um,
only that, but you know, it was a little distracting in the theater because, of course, there
oh
was another
God,
fucking child crying because for some
yeah.
reason everybody decides they want to take their fucking infant to an R-rated movie.
An
Which
hour into the movie, like, where have you
oh
been
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
they waited like an
entire
hour into
thing?
the
Like,
moment.
I had assumed that, okay, maybe I just missed them slipping out the first time, but I was like, the second they got in there, they were unruly and loud the entire. Like, when you have someone actually has to say, "Can you please be quiet?" They beat me to it. I was just about to say it, and then someone beat me to it. I was like, okay, good, I don't have to say it. And then it keeps going. I'm like, well, this was a good horror movie. Now it's turned into a horror with that ambient background noise everyone just loves so much that they tell you to shush at the beginning of the movie. So
Yeah. Um, some other stuff that kind of felt a little bit weird was it was unclear whether or not there was any piece of the original person in the body when they came back. Like, they seem to have memories, or at least know the life story of the character. They just seem to be like, if that particular character became evil suddenly, right? That's kind of how it came off to me. And so maybe there was the soul of the original person and a demon also in there, or maybe somehow the demon knew and took over the body or whatever. And the they kind of seem to loosely tie that into like the urban legend of the Wendigo, which seemed
Right.
kind of like half-ass tied in, which it might have been half-ass tied in the book. I didn't read the book, but it kind of just felt tacked on there, like, yeah, Native American, blah blah blah. Here's a Wendigo. Meh. That's our explanation. So I don't know. And in one of the final scenes, um, all of the main characters except for like the youngest son have been killed and then brought back, and they're going to the car where the son is in there, and they just kind of open the door, and you
Did
don't
they
get
even
cut to
open the
black.
cuts.
door,
He
or did it just
unlocks
cut
the
before? Oh
he
yeah,
unlocks the
yeah,
car, so proving that he's going to get into it, and
yeah. Right.
so it,
Yeah, I didn't like how it cut there either.
the whole movie just felt kind of like pointless at the end. You're like, okay, all right, that's how it ends. But some things I liked about it, I thought a lot of the visuals were really good. When he kind of goes to the area where he has to bury his daughter, the father has to bury his daughter. Um, it was kind of spooky and weird. Um, I thought the cat looked perfect for what you would expect, and they actually used a real cat. It wasn't like CGI
Oh,
or
did they?
anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
You
a
think it was CGI, David?
it was
I,
definitely a
I,
real cat.
I mean, I thought maybe a few parts might have been CGI. So
No, it was all makeup effects and a cat, from what I could tell. That was done really well. The characters, you could tell the father's like internal struggles pretty well. The actor did a really good job portraying a very conflicted individual who has just lost his daughter. I think to some extent he feels responsible because he moved his family out there, and then so he tries to bring her back. Realizes very early on that it's not the same kid, who died. And then just kind of tries to like hold it all together, like, oh no, everything's fine. We're all good here. Hold your daughter now,
yeah, I
and
I know I saw that. I'm like, creepy.
Yeah, I remember I
Is
looked at
it?
you and I was like, oh, "Fuck no!" Like,
yeah, I've been like,
I'd be like, "Get
I'm
the
out.
fuck away from me!"
I'm out. I'm taking the kid. I'm out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that was definitely a creepy part for me too. So
And the kid seemed to have some kind of like demon strength too, because she was doing shit that a little girl wouldn't have the ability to do.
Mm.
She was like overpowering the mom, and she was like, murdering the dad, and or trying to murder the dad, I should say. So yeah, that's just my brief thoughts on it,
your
I
brief
guess.
detail.
My brief details.
As far as my thoughts go, I did enjoy it. Granted, it would have been more nice to enjoy without the ambient baby noises. But regardless, I really actually, since we haven't mentioned it yet, I think I'll smack my mic while I do it. is the whole mother dealing with the struggle of the memory of her sister dying because of
Oh yeah.
her sister dying in that accidental way, which could have been prevented if she wouldn't have used the dumbwaiter. But I actually thought that was the scariest part of the movie. Was
Yeah, that creeped me out.
Like yeah, like
was
the sister being all like contorted and shit.
yeah, the sister's spine
Yeah.
being twisted, and how like I think her sister wanted her to be the same way. That way she could feel the pain and know the struggle that she was going through. And honestly, that whole kind of feeling that they addressed of like the kid being home alone and then having to feed the sister, but the sister does not look human anymore. I mean, it literally looked like bones were like a millimeter away from protruding out of the skin. And to me, that was creepier than the rest of the movie. But I don't feel like it was just this happy-go-lucky sunshine movie, except for that part. Judd, I think I am blanking on his name right now. Yeah, I'm blanking on his name. I can't think of it right now. Judd's main guy who he played. I thought he did a pretty decent job as far as the acting goes, as far as telling the story of how his family was lost. And I've been here, my whole life, and that's just a pet cemetery. Don't worry, they that's where the people go to bury their animals, and then the dad tries to bring the cat back because it's never. Granted, I've never had to do this, but it's never hard or never easy to tell your child, yeah, Fido or Fluffy, whatever animal you have, is dead, and explaining that to a kid who doesn't know what that process is like or anything about it. Trying to help the daughter out a little bit. I thought that was actually really nice of him, but I'm also like, well, we did just kind of hear Judd tell the story of how he took his dog and it came back even angrier. So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
what's the worst that could happen with a cat? Wait, cats are already douchebags, so that multiplied times 10 is probably not going to be a good thing. So, showing him the graveyard, that scene lasted for quite a few minutes, and they were walking for what seemed like a long time. I'm like, how far back in this damn forest is this graveyard? And then what seemed like was another part of town that they were in, like on top of this plateau that had like, I'm pretty sure like tribal markings all over. There were tribal markings on the trees that the Native Americans had left there before they vacated the area to warn other people, hey, there's monsters, whatever, demon presence around here. And
Wendigo.
right, the Wendigo. So, which I've heard stories about it, and there's actually a game on Steam called The Wendigo as well, which I know who developed that. So,
I just think of Until Dawn.
Yeah. That's what I
oh
think.
Every
yeah,
time I hear
yeah,
Wendigo.
yeah. That's actually, I feel like it's pretty astute, and the setting feels like it's kind of the same too, because the forest in the Until Dawn was well, it was dark and wintry and snowy, and then with Pet Semetary it seemed like it was spring or summer or whatever. But the amount of fog that they put in those scenes was like, it almost looked like they were burying the cat in a sea of fog where it was just ground, but there was a whole lot of fog covering it up, and the far distant landscape shot that they did of the moon was pretty eerie, which I did enjoy that, and then the walk back. But the one thing that kind of confused me was with the doctor working at the clinic. They just throw this kid in there that has this contusion on his head and on his neck, and he's dying on the table. And then he comes back later to haunt the guy to tell him, "Hey, don't do this."
I want to build off that. I don't want to interrupt you here, but
Okay, no,
I
go
do
ahead.
want to build off that because I've been thinking about that myself. That was one of the parts of the movie that, like, during the entire film, I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, exactly.
So after they move into the house, and also after the events that you described there, after he loses a patient, his first couple days on the job or whatever, he starts seeing what appears to either be a hallucination or the spirit of this kid who died. And then, in addition to that, the mother starts seeing and hearing things that sound like her sister, either banging around,
Right.
or ends up seeing her in the mirror, and like all this stuff. And it makes me question one of a couple things: is like, is there some part of like supernatural spirit thing going on? Are they hallucinating? They live right by the old man. Is he also going through the stuff all the time and just somehow keeping his shit together?
Well, I think the premise of it is that the cemetery is on their property, and so like it's like a spiritual like gateway, like their property, with them being so close to it, I think is what the movie's trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't it
But
also affect the old man who's right there? I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
think
I
ghosts
think
care about property lines.
I think like I know in the book like he doesn't live that close to him. Like I think in the movie they just kind of make it to where like he's like right across the street or something.
Yeah, he didn't seem
Maybe.
that far
But
away.
I don't remember. I read the book a long fucking time ago.
So it just
But-
seemed weird. Like that they in particular
that was
were getting all sorts of weird spiritual or hallucinatory kind of things.
that was the only thing I
going
felt
on.
like wasn't explained, or and also didn't because I mean I'm pretty sure that the guy that was in the hospital was of course real, or at least to that scene and to that part of the movie. But what caused him to have such a
He was hit by a car.
Yeah, he was hit by a car.
Yeah,
oh,
they say
is that what they said? Okay, I guess I missed that part.
Yeah. It,
I,
like, took
I,
a
I have
chunk
a
of
question
head off.
about that scene to begin with anyway. So he's playing a doctor at like a fucking college clinic.
Yeah.
Kid gets hit by a car. They roll him into the fucking clinic instead of calling like a fucking ambulance. That never fucking
Maybe.
happens.
Maybe it was
I
the closest
highly-
thing. I don't
I highly fucking doubt that.
Hey, we're not going for realism here. Clearly.
Obviously.
But yeah, I mean, my thoughts of this movie were I did enjoy it. The whole mom revisiting her memories and everything, and I don't know if it was actually, of course, hearing her sister, through the walls and everything. That dumbwaiter part when they were at the new house, or the opening the mirror and then seeing that like seemed like never-ending tunnel where the dumbwaiter was. The only part, the only jump scare that actually got me. Of course, the second before the jump scare, baby cry. So my attention is pulled away for a mere second, and then that happens. So it actually pulled me out of the.
Also, that spiritual stuff followed them. It followed because the mom takes the son and then goes to her parents' house, and they start
Yeah.
experiencing that there too. So I didn't know. I know it's nitpicky, but I don't understand the movie logic behind a lot of it. I guess there's no
Hollywood,
like.
dude. It's just it's a fucking effect.
You're not the only one. I mean, there was quite a few things that I still have questions about. Like, I would like to actually know about the full history of this supposed tribal graveyard thing, in order to just we're gonna convince the viewers that it's just a haunted graveyard. Well, they mentioned something about demonic powers that were there or something demonic or monstrous. Well, other than saying, "Oh yeah, it's just a Wendigo," and then dismissing the rest of it, most movies have a solidified, maybe mythos about what's going on, and explain the backstory of it instead of, "Oh yeah, I just took my dog there, my wife there, tried to bring them back, they didn't come back the same." Some kind of ancient Indian burial ground. I'm like, okay, so apparently that explains everything. Is ancient Indian burial ground. So I would like to have a little more backstory on that, but.
Or some kind of callback, or reference to the Wendigo later, other than you kind of see it in the distance when they're out there.
Yeah.
Maybe at the end he's like, shepherding the like undead family or whatever.
Yeah.
That would kind of tied it all together.
Yeah, like
maybe
some kind of like astral projection that's showing them around or like behind them walking. That would have actually kind of made sense instead of these dead bodies have a mind of their own. They're just gonna. I'm getting a kind of an Us vibe. Like they're just gonna go around killing people, bringing them back to the graveyard, bringing them back from the graveyard, and then okay, they're dead. So society is gonna be all dead in a year once they get all the bodies they need.
I don't know.
As far as dislikes, I guess I pretty much spent most of the time on likes on that one. Dislikes, there wasn't a whole lot that I didn't like about it. Except for, like Connor mentioned, the foreshadowing of the truck 13,000 times before it actually happened. It's in the trailer. I knew it was going to be the truck before the truck even showed up.
More than once is too much, yeah.
More than once. I mean, two, you're getting pretty damn obvious and literally shoving it down the viewer's throat. And I think on the third time it happened or the fourth time it happened. I don't remember exactly how many times it showed up.
I don't remember how many times, but it was too much.
It got to the point, I'm like, man, they seem like they're on a busy street. And then I'm thinking, nope, that's just one truck that is really adamant about getting that delivery out. So yeah, just the overdone foreshadowing of that. Um, I feel like there was a kind of an argument going on between the mom's way of describing death and the dad's way of describing death, and they kind of had a argument in their
I
room.
mean, one's fucking religious, the other one wasn't.
Right. No, but what I'm getting at is that they didn't paint the picture of the perfect marriage in this movie, which is real. So I mean, there's no marriage out there that doesn't have problems, that doesn't fight, doesn't have the typical argument. So I thought that was very real of how dad handles it one way, mom handles it the other way. I actually like that dynamic that they had there. And mom still keeps having dreams about all this shit, but and her definitely knowing that, oh, this isn't my daughter that came back, and kind of her wanting to shun the daughter. So, because I mean, whether you disguise her in makeup or not, the mom's gonna know if that's not her daughter or not. So, other than that, I enjoyed it, and that's really all I can think of right now for my part. So, Trey, your thoughts?
I mean, you guys kind of hit all the nails on the head there. Dislikes. I mean, my biggest concern, like this kind of fleshes out more of a story than the original Pet Semetary film did, but I still feel like it lacks. Like, I didn't like the drop off ending. I didn't like how a lot of things were left open for interpretation. At some points it just seemed like it was like random scenes were thrown in there. So I didn't like that. I mean, obviously, like showing the truck come through like 4 or 5 times. What the fuck are you doing, David?
I think I'm hearing rain.
It
might be rain. Sorry.
But as far as likes, there were a couple of moments that got intense. Like when the kid runs out into the street, like it's coming, but like you're still like, ooh.
Yeah, you're still waiting to see.
Well, they psych you out because the little boy runs out first, and then the little girl sees her cat.
Well, see, and that's what's fucked up is because
reverse that. Sorry, she goes out first.
In the original movie, it's the little boy that dies, not the girl.
Oh.
So
they pulled a bait and switch on.
Yeah, they fucked with you there.
Yeah,
he saves the little boy, and then it hits the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was the sister thing, like that was creepy. So I enjoyed that. I mean, there's not really much more we can say about this film. I do wish that the experience had been a lot better, because honestly, having a baby cry for like the last 20 minutes of the fucking film really distracts from the climax of it.
We're gonna resolve that by not going to AMC theaters anymore.
Right.
That's
so not only
at least for horror movies,
or just all fucking movies. Like,
I mean,
here's the funny thing. I called them out on Twitter.
I saw that,
and they were crickets. But Alamo liked my tweet.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Yeah. So they're like,
Alamo's like, hey, we got more customers our way, and I'm like, oh crap! Alamo sees this coming.
The other thing that concerned me was 3 of them walked in, 2 of them sat down, and then the other one walked to the other end of the fucking theater and sat behind us. And I was like, that's sketchy as fuck, dude. Like, what the fuck is going on right now?
And he kept like moving around back there.
Dude, yeah, like I was kind of really distracted from the film because I was like, what the fuck is about to happen here?
Yeah.
So
I was more worried about the 2 on the right that were
jabbering. So yeah, what it was 2 women and then a man, and then the 2 women each had an infant and a carrier. So there was 2 babies, 2 women, and a man. They first go to the very back of the theater, and they're chatting their entire way into the theater. They're chatting at full volume like you and I would be chatting right now. Mm-hmm. And then they sit down up there, and then they're rustling, and they're moving, and they're rustling, and then the man comes, and he comes behind us. He's kind of moving around back there because we're up at one of like either the second from the top row or the third from it.
I think we were the second from the top.
And they go over to the side, and they're jabbering over there, and then somebody a few rows in front of us is just like tells them basically to be quiet, and they shut up. except for the babies on and off start crying.
Yeah, the baby's
And the
like,
guy
oh,
up
this is
there
my
is
cue.
quiet. And then at the end of the movie, I see them walk down, and he kind of walks up by themselves, and they regroup. What the? I don't understand what happened there.
I loved the focus shift right as the screen went to black, and then the theater lights came back on. I saw everyone's head turn right and just
Right, they're like, what
stare
the fuck?
at
Yeah.
them. And then and no one like took a normal pace going down the stairs. Everyone slowly walked down the stairs, and they just kept looking right. And so the people that were actually bothering us in the movie went and stood outside, almost like they were on display. Everyone that walked out stared right at him as we walked by. I'm like, I really hope that this burns into your psyche, that there's a crowd hatred for you right now.
They were fucking laughing when we left. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, they thought that shit was funny, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that part, I guess.
Yeah.
I just saw everyone.
I think it's less of a lack of self-awareness, or it's just rudeness. I think is
Yeah.
what.
I think it's just people being fucking dicks, you know?
Yeah, that's why I enjoy the fact that Alamo will enforce those kind of things. So,
Yeah, a few days ago we saw Captain Marvel, unrelated, but it was a perfectly fine experience.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the whole.
Nobody tried talking, you know.
Nobody joined.
They make it pretty clear.
Yeah, you actually got to watch the movie as as a patron in a movie theater, and one of the best parts is they serve food. So yay!
It's pretty good there. Yeah.
The food is pretty good.
Yeah. I would say, sorry to bring it back in and just kind of wrap it up. I think comparing the most recent Stephen King films, it was a much better film than Pet Semetary. I think it had a better cast. I think some of the actors and actresses were fine in Pet Semetary. Others just kind of came off a little hokey, I guess, or a little too overdramatic, maybe.
A little pokey.
But I don't know if the quality of Pet Semetary versus it is dependent on the person who made the movie or the source material. Maybe Pet Semetary is just not as well of a fleshed out story.
Did you read the book, Trey? You said
a long time. Like, I was in like high school.
Do you remember it being a scary read?
I honestly don't remember. No.
Because sometimes, I mean, and this is not to pick on Stephen King or anything like that. It's like sometimes things are better as a book than a movie, and that's just how it is. A book allows you more times to flesh things out, explain things better than a movie would ever let you do.
That is very true, because I'm one of the only people out of all of us that read the book Ready Player One, and then I saw the movie on release day. There's so much they had to leave out of the book to make the movie.
Harry Potter's the same way. The Harry Potter books I thought were better than the movies. And,
yeah, I mean, you can't make these films last years, which the book can easily cover years and different things that you can't fit into a movie. While the movie I thought was still good, the book I read 3 times before I even saw the movie over a course of a couple of years, and I think the book was way better. So.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, though, I might rewatch it at some point in the future. I'm not in any hurry to. It wasn't a bad film. It was just not up to what my expectations were for a Stephen King movie at this point, I would say.
So, would you suggest people go see it in theaters?
If you can find a quiet one, yeah.
Maybe. It had a lot of good visuals and sound stuff, and I think you would benefit from a large speaker system with a big screen. You know, that when the truck is going through and things like that, that would have a lot more of a impact than watching it on a home TV. But I mean, I wouldn't. Obviously, it's past opening weekend. I would not have suggested seeing that movie on opening weekend, paying full price or whatever. Go when the tickets are cheap. Go to the theater, maybe check it out. If you're not, a huge horror movie or Stephen King movie kind of person, maybe wait and rent it. I don't know. I wouldn't say don't watch it. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's worth a watch if you can afford it. Go to the theaters. Try to hopefully find a quiet one. That way, the jump scare scenes aren't ruined for you. And I haven't read a whole lot of Stephen King books, but I've seen a couple of his movies. I've watched it as well, and looking forward to the sequel on that. I think comparing those two is kind of unfair because they're kind of different I mean, they're the same horror genre, but one's kind of more based on eerie cemetery, and the other one's based on clowns. So, kind of to me, two different phobias.
I think that the like it and Pet Semetary have two very different qualities of production.
Yeah.
So I'd say comparing them wouldn't be fair.
I was about to use the
So
same wording. It would not be fair to compare them to, but I mean, as horror movies, I think that they're both good in their own way.
I think it's naturally what people go to though, because they're both Stephen King films.
right,
And in addition to that, when they were marketing Pet Sematary, they were talking about from the creator of It and things like that. They were using It
sure.
in the marketing, so it puts it even further in your head.
But were they using that as like the producers of the movie or the creator of the novel?
I don't know. I think they were trying to just build clout for the film, though. Like,
Right.
oh, look how good this movie was.
Yeah.
This movie's going to be just as good as that, and that's what That's what ends up in the consumer's mind.
Mhm.
Right.
So, I don't know. In the end, though, I'd check it out.
I would say don't go see it in theaters. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't waste the money. Like it's not a bad movie, but I would rather spend less money and watch it in my own place where there are no distractions than to have gone and like paid the price that we did for the experience that we had. But yeah, if you've got some money when it comes out, like rent it, go to Redbox or whatever. I'd say that's probably a better bet for most people.
People still have Redbox?
I guess. I don't know, man. But yeah, so that's where I stand on it. Like if I had to give it a rating out of like 5 stars, I'd probably say like 3, a solid 3.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.
3,
I'd probably do 4.
4.
Yeah, I liked it. Didn't love it. I liked it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would say solid 4, definitely. But all right, guys. Any last second thoughts?
Nah, that's all I got.
That's it.
All right.
Just, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it if you'd give us a like and you'd subscribe, share the content, comment below,
If you made it all the way to the end of the video, comment Pet Sematary is a cool movie.
Yeah.
Don't hashtag it though.
Right. But
Hashtag
yeah.
cats.
So yeah. But yeah. So we'll leave a description. We'll leave the links to our other pages in the description, so you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Honestly, if you're looking for like updates, Twitter's probably the best bet there. We update that more than our Facebook page. So, but yeah, we got some other cool stuff coming up. We just finished our Resident Evil 0 playthrough.
The last video went up today.
Yeah, so we'll be putting through either the next game in that series, or we'll be starting another game in the Cannon Fodder series. But that will be coming out probably sometime in like the next week or 2.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Until later.
See ya.